get rid of this surveillance. Well, of course, they did not lighten up surveillance, but anyhow, he took the chance to start his medical practice to care for about 500 families in the newly established railhead town. Okay, so that's where he went. That's where I was born. Now that's enough about my the reason why my father went there, where I was born. All right. Then, when I went into the grade school and then the high school, I was graduated from the high school in 1945, the year the World War II ended, right? Throughout those years, from 1929 to 1945, I was raised and trained, educated by strictly Japanese rule. As I told you earlier, we were forbidden, was by law told not to speak Korean, at least in school. If we spoke Korean language, talked in Korean language a few times, they would say, okay, you're a bad boy. But if I kept on speaking Korean language, they would expel me from school. We were forbidden to learn Korean language, Korean history, and just to say that everything Korean, they wanted to wipe it out, brainwash us to think that we are Japanese, not Korean. But you know what? I was, and my siblings, my parents, my brother and sisters, kept the knowledge that who we are, especially that we are Christians, through what? By family worship, daily family worship. Why? Because Japanese government has forced us to, during the Sunday worship, they told us to face the east towards Japan. Japan is, southeast across the strait there. They forced us before start of the worship, face that direction, bow down. That was the more or less a worship of Japanese emperor. They called their emperor as living God. In Japanese word, it is Ikegami. Ikegami is a living God. They thought, well, they claimed that their emperor is a descendant of a god, a founding person. They called him Amaterasu Omikami. That's complicated word. In short, they think that their founding father, the founding father of the country, came from heaven. Well, that's fine, all right. But besides that, do you know how many gods they claim they know? They don't know. But they think they can count. They say they believe there are 8 million gods. In Japanese, that's called Yaho Yorozu no Kami. That's 8 million gods. And I guess they wanted to have good luck from maybe 1 or 2 of 10, not just from one single Heavenly Father. No, they don't believe that. 8 million gods. So they worship those 8 million gods through images, through devotion and chant and so on. So I was, through my oral education, forced to that brainwashing methods. Stop using Korean language. Stop worshiping God. church. The church decided that worship was just a formal, every Sunday gathering. But then we should worship God more by deep from the heart at home. So home church, home worship was the main form of our worship during the Japanese period. That's how our faith was maintained, not to lose our faith. And that's how I lived through that period, and God has allowed me to live to this day. Well, I thought I would be talking only about 5 minutes, but it became quite long. So now, when you go back to your classroom, think about where you came from. You think you came from your parents? Yes, you did. But actually, if it wasn't the God who put you into your mom's belly, you would not have come. You thought about that? And if it was not God, by His power and His providence, that's a big word too. Okay. You understand what the providence is about. It's the God's plan, okay? For you and I and everybody who believes and puts faith in God. He would guide you every day. Even your being here today is under His providence, His leading. Now go to your classroom. Thank you.